looks good. Oops. We should just leave it today. You can just watch outside. Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Looks audio, check 1, check 2, green lights across the bottom. Looks like we're good to go. The usual suspects. Okay, what's up today? I was going to be continuing the carving on the color blocks for that. Yes, paper's out, Tom, thank you. 2 people today. Day-chan is doing GJ number 10, and Ayumi-san is doing the share certificates. We've given up on David ever having time to do that. Ayumi-san's taking over this year. So she'll be printing those today and tomorrow. And I will be signing them on a future stream here, maybe later this week. And finally, the waiting people will be getting them. We should make a special web page, I guess. Everybody can log in when they need to. Is your paper out? Is your paper out? Has it become a meme? I don't think so. Okay, as I said, I was supposed to be carving the color block in the continuation, the block that's sitting here. I was supposed to be hacking away at this, but something came up last night that has punted this. It's postponed this again, yet again. It's been postponed for 7 years. It just keeps getting postponed. I got to visit Yamamoto-san, the young printer Yamamoto-san. Came over last night. I hadn't expected him to come around. He brought a package with him. Not this is something else. He brought a package with him. How's your kanji? Come on, jump on it, jump on it. Somebody out there who can read kanji? The first 3 are easy. Oops, before I drop this whole thing. The first 3 are easy. It says Moko Hankan. Karen's got that, but the next 2? Nami. Nami. Ura. Moko Hankan. Nami Ura. He's early. These weren't expected for another week or so, but Yamamoto-san has early. He has come through with the latest batch of the Nami Ura design, the Great Wave. So for me now, I have to drop everything else. All other work just gets dropped, and I now have to deal with these. It's going to take me a couple of days. I have to do 2 things. I have to do the embossing on the side here, which tells what it is, Hokusai, David, and Yamamoto. And then I've got to go through, I don't need to check them if they're okay or not. I flipped through last night actually, and my God, this kid, this guy. I gave him 60 sheets, and we have 60 sheets back. And he's put at the very top of them, he's put 5 of them in a different orientation from the others. He hasn't cut the corners, he's put them in a different orientation. And my puzzle now is to try and figure out what he thinks is wrong with these top 5. And when I flipped through last night, I couldn't see it, but whatever. There must be something there. There must be something there that he thinks it's not so good to go out. So for the moment, I'll leave them in reverse orientation. Anyway, first, like I said, I've got to put the name on first, and then I've got to go through these, and there is definitely, I've got to get the microscope out. Here, we can see this. This isn't why he rejected it, but if I zoom in here, you'll see. Look, this is let me get my, yes, it's chiri. There's 2 pieces of bark in here, and it's not his job to take those out, of course. So I'll be getting the microscope out and going through these 60 sheets one by one and doing the surgery. There are going to be some that I can't get because the bark is too big or too whatever. But anyway, the next thing that will happen, it's now 8:04. Cameron is not up yet, but around 9 o'clock when Cameron hits his computer, I'm going to give him a red alert. Cameron, we have 50 or so copies of the Great Wave. Get on your mailing list, and of the 2,000 people in the mailing list, get the information out to the first 50 people. They won't all pick it up. Some people will not reply after a few days, and some people will say, sorry, I wanted it, but no, that's in the past, I don't need it. So it doesn't matter. He will just keep chewing through his waiting list until he finds 50 people, or 60, that want those. And again, Yamamoto-san, I say the same thing every time, just whatever. He has just done a to-die job on these. He's just done a to-die job on these. Yeah, the camera isn't locked down here. I just moved it just for a second. The other big question, and every time we get a batch of these, of course, I'm eager to have a look at. I go to 2 or 3 places on these print, the places where we have the tiniest detail. And let's look at this now. These are the newest print, and we are now nearly 2,000 copies on this thing. We are now nearly 2,000 copies. And in the classic old ones, the places that break down the first are up here with these buoys. They're oars, the back part of this boat, this line. Another place that breaks down early is the tip of Mount Fuji, gets pressure on the barren. All the little marks of straw. Is that one of you guys fooling around here, whatever? In any case, hold your horses. 2001. I said 2000. I don't have a clue how many it is. It's up there. I don't have any clue. I don't have any clue. Chocolate egg for that one. Anyway, like I said, we're not looking at this under a scope yet, but look at this. I don't have any problem with this. I don't see any wear or tear. The faces are okay. The straw is okay. The thing is still lining up properly. The lettering, let's have a look at the lettering. That's another place that breaks down early. You got any problem with that? I don't have any problem with that at all. And we're nearly 2,000 copies on this. It's just insane, just insane. And the reason we're doing so well with this, when a normal woodblock really starts to show wear after a few hundred copies, there's a few reasons for this. We have told Yamamoto-san, and if I give him the paper, 60 sheets at a time. We never run more than 60 at a time. Now, he's okay with this because we've explained it over and over. But the older printers, 60? Give me a break. Each color, I just time to warm up the block, and then you got to change for another one. It's change, 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 change. They want to run, mix their color, get it set up, close their eyes, and just run. But the problem is, the block is wet. You rub wet pigment over a block, and the wetter and wetter and wetter it gets, the more it's susceptible to being worn. So we stop it at 60. Just when it starts to get wet and soft and soggy and the brush would really wear it out, we stop. Dry the block off, wait a month, and come back and start again. So that's one reason. The second is I've really, 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 really emphasized the Yamamoto-san. Soften your brush. And a real printer will soften his brush before doing a job, and he's been following my instructions and doing it. The third one is the pigment. Grind it, make sure it's ground, then go back and start again and grind it some more. And when you think it's ready, put it away, come back and grind it some more. When you dip your finger in the pigment, if you go like this with your fingers, if you can feel any grit, then that grit is going to act as sandpaper and wear out the block. And again, when we first talked to him about this, he's like, but we did, and he is on board with us now. We are now at, I don't know the exact number, it's 1,783 copies or whatever, I don't know. It's up there, it's pushing 2,000. And I tell you, I can't, when we get to 2,000, we're going to do this. We're going to get the blocks back, do a camera, do a video comparison, number 1 and sheet number 2,000 or so. But I have no problem. People ask me, Dave, those blocks are worn out by now. I don't want one of these anymore. That's okay. That's your choice. Lots of people are waiting. So what would we see in the wear are a couple of things. The block is carved obviously with a straight line. For any given line, the edges are straight. Now the edges on our block now are getting rounded bit by bit by bit. And the more rounded they get, you don't get a nice sharp clear line anymore. You get a fuzzy faint line. And I think actually if we had copy number 1 and this one here, we would probably be able to detect the lines like this. This probably is a little bit fuzzier along the edge than the first clear, sharp copies. So I'm not going to pretend it's exactly the same. But do I have any problem with selling this? Oh my God, no, no, no. Anyway, I'm talking too much. I'm talking too much. I've got to now do the embossing. So let's put this on my right-hand side. Get my embossing board, which gets pulled out every month or so. And I have Namiura Kubota. That's not today's printer. Today is Yamamoto-san. Namiura Yamamoto. Let's get some junk out of the way. Give me a minute to set up. We'll find a good place for the tools and I need an in tray. I need an out tray on this side. We need our cloth to add moisture to the print. We need our Baron, the rubbing tool. Let's move the camera so we can see what's going on here. Is it possible to grind down the edges so they're sharp again? No, the line is what it is. Once it's become rounded, we could thin it. You can make the lines thinner if you want to go back and recarve the whole thing. But then all the color blocks are not going to match anymore. Yeah, we don't number them, eh? So I'm sorry, you can't tell exactly where you got yours from. If you really are curious, you can let me know and I can figure out roughly where you are from the time we started selling them, but we don't number them. The first group, I think, for the Kickstarter campaign, the Kickstarter ones got numbered. The people who signed up for a Kickstarter campaign to open our shop here, and it said Kickstarter campaign 2014, number 1, number 2, number 3. We kept number 1, and they went up to number whatever it was, number 202 or something from the Kickstarter campaign. Then we changed the embossing, and now they are just a generic edition, Would I sell those prints even though they have a bit of ink on them? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I will call from here. If Yamamoto-san has made a splotch somewhere and I can't carve it out, then of course we call that one. Of course, absolutely. Okay, Dave. I am still curious about those first 5. Why he put them in upside down. I don't know. I really don't know. Anyway, let's get on. Let's test this. That's going to be the registration mark here and here. The embossing is going to go there. So let's do this. Slight, tiny bit of dampness on the paper. In she goes. And I think I'm going to need some light here because I cannot see what I'm doing. And can we see this? Can we see the embossing? There we go. There's the embossing, and it's too small for you to read it there, but it says E picture Katsushika Hokusai Hori carving Buru Davido Suri printing Yamamoto Shun. The 3 men who made this thing together get their names on it. Someone's got two dark spots on the top left corner. Well, as I said, there was a tiny bit of chiri, the bark, in there, but he doesn't reject because of those. He knows that's my job. So that would be nothing to do. Yamamoto-san has turned these upside down because he thinks there's something wrong with his printing. Something is misregistered, or there's a blob of color, or something is wrong somewhere. And I don't see it. Maybe he's just playing games with me, just packed them that way. I don't know. How do I get the dampness? No, look, there's a... Let me change here. Here we go. I just took a cloth. It's a Scott towel, one of those. We get them from Canada. It's a workshop paper towel. and it's slightly damp. And normally what I would like Yamamoto-san to do is I want him to have this embossing block, and while the paper is still wet from the printing, I want him to do the embossing. But he's one of those professional craftsmen who says, I don't need my name on these. It's okay. It's too much time. Just don't bother. Just forget it. So I'm the guy that has to do this here. Our own printers working upstairs, they do what they're told. Of course they emboss it on. But these pros that we hire, so here we go. Lightly moisten it, press it on, and the embossing is now rich and deep. And it will never, ever, ever come out. You couldn't erase that with a steamroller. Again, a tiny bit of chili, but that's he wouldn't reject for that. That's my job. I'll take that off later. You know. I don't know. Hontoni, I don't know. Outside looks a bit busier. What you're seeing today is Monday, and compared with what you saw on Saturday, Saturday was, of course, it's a weekend. So at this time of day on a weekend, there are no people going to school. There are no people on their way going to work. It's dead silent. On the weekend, the busyness comes on later in the day. Today's Monday, then. So what you're seeing today, and you've been seeing people going to school, going back, getting for the bus, going to work, all that kind of stuff. So you're seeing commuters walking from their homes on the way to the station. Before the stream went live, a whole bunch of kids went by on their way to school. So the pattern of activity is different on weekdays. Actually, why am I doing this? I'm going to move it over to where it's comfortable for me. Hang on a second. I can print here, move this here. All right, does that get everybody? Rejected prints stay in our workshop. We never sell rejects. That's the fifth one of the 5. I don't know. Are my carving tools made of carbon steel? If so, do they have a core? Of course there's carbon. I know. Without carbon, you're just talking about iron. I know when you mix iron and various levels of carbon and other materials, that's when you get steel. So yes, our knives they're fairly high carbon steel, which means they sharpen very, very well, but it also means they're quite brittle. So the knife we use, in fact, all of my tools are a laminated construction. They are a high carbon steel laminated together with a more low carbon structure. So the high carbon is the cutting edge and the low carbon is the softer steel, but it's much stronger. It doesn't break. No, Yamamoto-san doesn't care about the chili. It's nothing to do with his job, you know. This one, in fact, this is the next group past the ones that he showed. And here we have a big, large chili spot here, which I will have to take out. So he was not rejecting for chili. Look at this. See this? I will have to get the scope out and surgery this. But that's not his job. Actually, this has come, as I said, he wasn't due with these for about a week or so, but I guess he must have had another job canceled or something. So he did these early. And it saved my buns on our sales. We were looking at them last Friday, Cameron and Aoyama-san and I. And August for us is turning out to be, it's a tragedy. It's Death Valley. August is normally quiet anyway. Even when we had a shop, August was a little bit quiet in the shop because it was too hot. August was quiet online because, people are busy. They're doing summer vacations and hiking and whatever. So August for us has always been slow. But this year without the shop, it's been Death Valley. We know our business is seasonal, so it's okay, but so this is going to really, really help our figures for August. So that's the Oshibori truck. Should I turn off the outside mic while he's here? So, hot towels. Get your hot towels here. Yeah, so. I don't know why. I just do whatever. I hear the sound, and there's nothing I can say about that. I'm sorry. I'm happy that people like our work and that like our stuff. It's really frustrating for us to be in this situation. We've got a beautiful, beautiful production. Nobody's ever made it this good, and we can't get it to people. Is that his truck making that sound? He'll be gone in a minute, guys. Sorry about this. Hot not included. Yes. So get your cold hot towels here. Bring your own microwave oven. I think it's the motor that runs his tailgate, I guess. It sounds like it really needs some maintenance badly. No, why can't we get it to people? Meaning we can't produce enough. The demand for this thing is at current levels, it's 300 or 400 copies per month is the demand. The people who are saying, I would like this. And we just cannot supply the thing. We cannot make it. It's a totally handmade product. And we're not trying to be exclusive with this. I would love to serve all the people who would like to have one. But we just don't have the resources to do so. The bean counters say, in that case, then just raise the price. Make them $1,000 a sheet. That way your supply will match the demand. But whatever. Come on, guy, get out of here, will you? Oh. Just wait it out, sorry. There's a big should be in this one. What do we do if the chili is really close to the top surface? That's good. That's easy. You know, there's sort of any number of variations on it. See, if the chili is just actually sitting on top, then I can pick it off easily. It just pops off. If it's really close to the top surface, so what we should do, when I'm finished this embossing, that's not going to take the whole stream here. It's just take the first half an hour. When I'm finished the embossing, let's do a couple of sheets of the chili, just so you can see what goes on. I'm not going to do the whole thing. That's a couple of days' work. But are you guys playing with me now? What is he doing out there today? Is it Monday? Does it take a longer time on Monday? You can see him. Soka, you can see the guy out there changing his baskets and fly me to Japan and teach me. You'll print great waves for 1 year straight. Who's going to do the 10 years of training first? He's gone off to do another delivery. Jesus. Moko Hankan, constant truck noise. Yeah, you're right. And as soon as he's finished, the garbage truck for the hot dog place will come, and it's Monday, so they will have a ton of garbage. He's backing up. What's going on? Is he really gone? He's still sitting there. Did he forget one? Maybe it's over. Thank you. So thanks for your patience, guys. Countdown to the Korean hot dog garbage truck. I just hope everybody's pulling our leg, that's all. I just hope it's all pulling our leg. We're not embossing a cartouche today, we're embossing makers' names. The embossing is, picture, Katsushika Hokusai, the designer's name. Hori, which is carving, Buru Davido, and then Suri Yamamoto Shun, the three men who cooperated to make this thing. So exactly, someone just got that. So I've got this batch of 60 coming in. I shouldn't show this work because the list just grows longer than it's going to get shortened by this batch. Is there a beer discussion going on in the background here? Someone's asking, does the pigment or color come off when we dampen it? No, absolutely not. These are water-based pigments that went in with damp paper, and this is really curious. When I first saw this too, I could not believe it. I could take this sheet of paper right now and slide it into a hot bathtub. Leave it in there. Half an hour, 2 hours, whatever. Take it out of the hot bathtub, dry it off, and you will not tell the difference. These pigments are now bound down inside the fibers of the paper. If I did soak it for a couple of hours in a bath, the embossing would become much weakened. Instead of being a sharp, crisp embossing, it would become a more rounded, blurred embossing. But the colors themselves, nothing. We've done this before on the stream. I've got some older prints that are glued to a backing sheet. And on the stream, we put them in a hot bath, waited 5, 10, 15 minutes, and separated them. I've got lots more of those upstairs. Tons and tons of old prints that need to be separated. We should do another stream like that one day, maybe. Although I hesitate a little bit because it's kind of one of these things like don't do this at home, because there are prints that shouldn't be moistened. There are certain types of pigments from the old days that do dissolve in water. So we have to know what we're doing. I know that this one is clear, but any random print that you've got in your house, if you put it into a hot water, you may end up with nothing but red water. So this is not, it's do not try this at home unless you know what you're doing. How many blocks is this print take? It's 4 pieces of wood carved on both sides. It's 8 impressions for a normal great wave. That's not really an awful lot. This is not one of the most difficult prints in the repertoire. What's difficult is the level of perfectness that we really are demanding here. Because most great waves out there in the market are slapdash crap. And we have taken a really, really lot of care with our carving, and I demand that our printer also just get this perfect. We're a bit of a control freak on this one, but so be it. Also, too, while we're talking about it, the sky here, I get lots of, what's criticism / comment, whatever way you want to look at it. In the old days, the sky used to be done quite lightly. And then in the post-20th century, in the post-war period in the 20th century, it became really common for the sky to be printed vividly, strongly, and you could see the big white cloud shape. I don't like that at all. The cloud dominates the whole picture. I want the wave to dominate. So we print ours in the way that it was mostly done in the old days, with a very faint sky. You can see there is a cloud pattern there, but it's actually almost invisible. And there are people who don't like this because they're used to the other version. And that's okay, that's cool, but I'm the guy calling the shots here. I'm the publisher. Someone's going to try washing some prints. What? You're going to dampen it? Okay, I'm not guaranteeing anything for anybody else. A normal Japanese traditional woodblock print made with watercolor pigments with paste on a good washi, you can put them damp. But there are some pigments that dissolve in water, and if you have got a print that has a dissolvable pigment, then it will turn your water red and the print will be destroyed. So, as I said, if you don't know what you're doing, no, don't do this. If you're making your own prints, you want to try fooling around, yeah, that's of course, whatever. The other thing I changed, actually I didn't change, but the other thing we do differently from most of the 20th century versions is the type of blue we used here. Again, in the old days they were using mostly just a straight Prussian blue, but how much black you mix in with it gives a sense of more coolness. Again, post-war period they started using different pigments. The whole thing is much warmer. I guess I don't know whether it was conscious on their part or not, I don't know, but the post-war great waves are mostly a very warm tone. And to me, this print is about, it's death. It's these guys out in the ocean, they're about to die or whatever you want to think about. This is a cool, cold print. I don't want anything warm and happy about this. And these are they're not really my decisions. They're based on what I see the old prints as being like. And I want to sort of follow what this thing was designed as. But it's my decision as the publisher. Of course, there's no copyright on this thing anymore. Anybody can do whatever they want. In Japan, how much of a market for traditional prints? None at all, zero. It doesn't exist here. For these people's point of view, this is something historical. Oh, that's curious. Let's go to the exhibition, see what it looks like. Nobody is buying these for their own personal, for their home or whatever, of course. Nor should they. For the Westerners, or people like you and me, whatever, it's interesting as a historical thing, or for many Westerners who have never been to Japan, it's the exotic image of Japan. I don't know. Well, why should they? Why shouldn't they? I mean, it's not my business to choose. I'm just describing what I see. I'm not selecting anything for anybody. Our experience, and we have tried hugely during the 35 years I've been here, to expose Japanese prints to Japanese people. Of course, it's not something that I'm deciding here. The market here, simply, at this current age and generation, has no interest in them. Back in the Taisho era, there was a huge interest. There was many publishers making subscription series that people would buy to show them the history of ukiyo-e, learn the culture of your own country, learn your history, stuff like that. That was a very big deal in the Taisho era. Then after the war, when the society came back together and the middle class society started to really grow in the late 1950s and 60s and into the 70s, there was very much a boom. And again, buying subscription series of ukiyo-e prints. This is the Japanese market we're talking about, not tourist market. There was a huge boom. People bought sets from Adachi, from Takamizawa, from all these publishers. And for the same reason. A person who wanted to feel educated and knowledgeable about his own country, stuff he hadn't particularly learned in school, wanted to learn about that ukiyo-e stuff because he'd heard the foreigners are so crazy about it. So let's learn about this. So the publishers made many sets of prints based on, targeted for the Japanese market, 50s, 60s, 70s. That's now gone. It has now just totally, absolutely disappeared. What's the most important collection of ukiyo? I'm not sure what you mean. I know there are staggeringly huge. In terms of volume, they are, of course, they're almost all overseas. I don't know who's number one. I think the Boston Museum of Fine Arts is supposed to be number one in quantity with X hundreds of thousands. I know Chicago Institute has huge numbers. They're all over the place. Victoria and Albert, the British Museum in Berlin, in the French National Library. And there are a few collections here in Japan now that were bought back, that were bought back from overseas in the 20th century. But the problem with most of the collections, of course, in those museums and stuff, you can't see them. You can't get they don't display the prints because the prints are light sensitive. The prints sit in boxes, and that's all there is to it. As well in Matsumoto, so that's run by our competitor down the street here, Sakai Kokodo. He's closed now because of the virus, and his family owns that museum in Matsumoto. They have thousands and thousands of prints. It's not world class in the sense of the most desirable top quality prints. They have a pretty scattered selection, lots and lots and lots of Meiji. But anyway, interesting. So before the virus hit, they were trying to open, and in fact they started construction on an Asakusa version of that Matsumoto Museum. The family got together, rented 3 stories of a building around the corner from here, put up the signs, opening spring of 2020, giant ukiyo-e museum, wonderful prints. And the sign is still there and nothing's happening. So there's an allow this. Do I allow this? It says click the button to allow. Hi. Yeah, Ota is nice, of course, too. It's a very small scale on a global scale, but they do very nice exhibitions. The printer offered on my website has a darker horizon than this one, does it? I don't know, no idea. Have we morphed over time here? Darker horizon meaning the behind the mountain? I don't know. Thanks for the tip. I'll have a look. I'll check and see. Maybe over time our own version has slowly morphed one by one. Yes, but higher, not darker. I wonder, we've had, Yamamoto-san is the 3rd printer who's been doing this for us. We started with Numabe-san back at the beginning. He did the first, and I think the first 100 or so, and we just couldn't continue because he's a very experienced printer, very good at this, my age exactly, but he'd also been printing Great Waves for most of his career for other publishers. And he did what he wanted to do. And I said, Numabe-san, no, I'm sorry, I want the black like this. I don't want those clouds, blah, blah, blah. He said, okay. The next batch he sent back exactly the same as his first batch. We didn't fight, that's it. But I'm sorry, from then on, I just sent the work to different printers. There are guys here, they see me as an outsider, and Dave doesn't know how this works. Dave doesn't know the tradition. Dave doesn't know what to do. Dave's an outsider, he's a foreigner. And that's fine. If they want to think that way, that's okay. So he lost the work. We sent it then to Kubota-san. Kubota-san is far more experienced than me. He's a national treasure, should be a national treasure. And he's way more experienced than me. And he probably heard my story and said, oh, fuck, what's he want? But he's a professional craftsman, and I was the guy with the money hiring him to do a job, and he knows how it works. So he did it the way Dave asked to do it. And his former apprentice, Yamamoto-san, is now following the exact way to do it. But in their minds, some of these guys, probably not Yamamoto-san, because he respects what we're doing here. We've showed him the old collection, we've chatted about this and that. But definitely the older guys in Tokyo, absolutely in their mind, they're thinking, he's an outsider, he just doesn't get this. That's fine, I will never change that, can't help it, I don't care. Is there a way a museum can display prints without wrecking them? Well, not really. I know this is a problem for a museum. I know they have two functions, a typical museum. I'm simplifying. They have two functions. One is to protect and preserve the old stuff, make sure it's protected and it doesn't die and doesn't get burned and whatever. And their second function is, of course, to show and elucidate and educate and to teach people what was what and how that goes on. And in the case of these ukiyo-e prints, the two things are actually at a bit of a loggerheads, because if you put it in the wall and show it, the older prints especially are made from fugitive pigments, it will die. You put it in the wall and a year later it won't be there. So they have a real, and I sympathize with them, they have a real problem there. From their protection and preservation point of view, get it in an argon nitrogen filled box, don't let light touch it, seal it and never touch it. But they also have to, show the thing. So what some museums do, and the Hokusai Museum here across the river in Sumida, I've talked about this before on the stream, I know. Tell the same story, whatever again, I don't know what to say, whatever. They opened up, whatever it was, 2 or 3 years ago, I don't know, big boom of publicity. They've spent bajillions of dollars on an ultra-modern building, bought a bunch of Hokusai prints to put in it. They had a great wave. Original or not, nobody knows, but whatever, that doesn't matter. And they opened up. And NHK hired me because I'm a sort of ukiyo-e blah, 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 whatever. They hired me to go over there and do an introductory program on it. And they had the camera on me, the red lights running, and we're walking around, and the guide says, Mr. Bull, over here, let's see these prints, please. And I walk around and I blather to the camera. Oh yes, here's an interesting example from Hokusai's younger period, before he used the name Hokusai, and blah, 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 blah. And then they got to the high point, and we can see at the other side of the room, there's the Great Wave on the wall all by itself, So, Dave, let's go over there. So we go over there, and I can see it. I turn to the camera, and now the high point, the one you've all been waiting for, Hokusai's magnificent wave picture. Let's go and see. And we get closer, and we get closer, we get closer. The camera's on me, and the camera's on this, and I get closer 1 meter away, and I lean forward. I get a real problem, because they've got a color copy on the wall. They can't show the real print because it fades. They have just put a poor quality Lawson 7-Eleven color copy and stuck it on the wall. And what do I say now? Do I turn to the camera and say, go away, it's a fake, run away? I can't do that. This is a museum, this is NHK. I'd love to see a copy of this. I can't remember what I said. My face must have gone. I'm looking at the thing, Dave, holy crap, how are you going to get out of this hole? What are you going to say? What are you going to say? And I don't remember. I'd love to see the video. I turned to the camera and said, as we all know, or just I blathered something, the masterpiece, the global iconic image, Hokusai's wave. I don't need to say anything. Let's just look at it together. So I don't remember what I said. I don't remember. And it's a color copy hanging on the wall. And later we chatted about this, after the camera's off. I said, what the fuck? Why didn't you tell me what's going on? Whatever. He says, blah, 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 blah. And we go back at the beginning, at this ground floor, when you buy your tickets. And he pointed it out to me. And I said, you can't do this. You're lying to people. He said, no, it says so. And when you buy your tickets, it's adults, 1,200 yen, students, blah, 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 blah. And in tiny print, it says, among the prints on display are some replicas. It says so. So they've had their whatever, So I'm not yelling at them. They have to do this. They can't display the real print. They can't do it. You could do it behind a black screen or something. And honestly speaking, it doesn't matter. Of the people who come and look at it, I've been to Tokyo, went to the Hokusai Museum, saw the Great Wave, they went home. They got what they wanted. It's okay. I'm not really being sarcastic about this. Just a bit frustrating. So. Maybe the Mona Lisa too. I don't know. I have no inside track on this. Is that the real one or is it a replica? I mean, they're worried about people throwing a paint bomb or something. So they have a real concern that some crazy person destroying that thing. So I think if I were running the Louvre Museum, the thing I would be displaying would be A replica, absolutely. If I were, I don't know, anything to do with that. Yeah, that's nice. They should buy one of my batches and then replace it. They wouldn't need a batch, they just need one, because there's a big, big difference here. Mine 200 years from now will be in that condition, of course. The pigments will be fading, the paper will be soft and dangerous, of course. But mine right now, we know most people are buying them, putting it in a frame, hanging them up in a room. The pigment we're using, strong Prussian blue, is really a vivid pigment that doesn't fade very much. The black, carbon black, doesn't fade at all. The sky will fade even lighter than it is. Honestly speaking, our own print, if you hung it up right now, it would, for the next 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, it would improve it. It would improve it. We sort of talk about this. The prints we're making now, I myself will never get to see them as beautiful as they are, because after about 100 years or so of natural, not just fading, but the paper getting old, the pigments blending in well, a print like the one we are making is at its peak in about 100 years or so. And then from there it goes down, depending on how much it's been exposed, what kind of dampness, what kind of environment, whatever. So I myself will never see our prints as beautifully as they can be seen, but can't be helped. We talked about that before, why the Takamezawa people, they artificially age their prints to try and give that feeling. Do I have an example of a 100-year-old print? Yes, in fact, today's show and tell, excuse me, go man. For today's show and tell, we are going to, I'll give you a little, what's the date here? John, do your job, please. We are looking at Meiji 31 for today's show and tell. And Meiji 31, 1897, so. Well, John has learned. John's got a little memo. He's stuck it on the wall beside his computer now. You've noticed his response time now is really, really fast. John is, I can't say cheating, he's done what we asked him to do. John's either memorized them or learned them. They're learning. He said, John's got it, I just know a few days. Or he's got a, I don't know, you know what they're called if a kid sneaks something into an exam, he's going to an exam and he sneaks a piece of paper in his pocket to look at him and stuff like this. In Japanese, I think in English we call it, what we call it, a cheat sheet or something like this, a little note or memo. In Japanese they're called cunning paper. If you write the answer in advance, so you write it on the sleeve of your arm or something like this and into an exam, it's called cunning paper. For John now, they're on the inside of his eyeballs or something. Washibori, no! He's gone away, right? Tell me he's gone away. He stopped. What is it? I didn't catch it when it was going by. Opening his tailgate. This guy is quiet. Yeah, eyelids. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I misspoke. Actually, I had a bit of a funny experience with John the last couple of days. I got a message from Facebook. I can't remember exactly what it said. He said, John Becker has updated his status or something. And I thought, like, I don't get these, whatever. I mean, I am a Facebook member, but I never browse Facebook. So this message came out of the blue. John Becker has updated his status. I thought, what does that mean? He's getting married, he's getting divorced, he's got cancer. What's happening? So I click and go over there, and it's a post from John saying he met some friends. It's great, interesting. Like, why did Facebook send this to me? I don't know. And I chatted with John. I said, did you ask them to send that to me or whatever? And John says, no. I know. Facebook name, I have no idea. But actually, having said that, I shouldn't say any bad news about it, because Facebook sent me that note. I read John's update, and it was actually something interesting content. Look at this. We have a massive piece of bark here. Oh my God, look at this. I don't know if you can see it. Look at this. On the front, you can just sort of see a bit of a shadow of something, right? There's a giant piece of chidi inside the paper. Flip it over. Let's look at the back. And look at this. And this one is inside the paper. But because it's so close to the back, we'll do it. Let's set this one aside after the stream. Let's try doing a couple of these. But the problem is, because there's a piece missing then, it might be visible as a whole from the front. So we'll see. What was I doing? Did I dampen it? I don't remember where I'm at. So let's set that one aside here somewhere. Actually, we're nearly finished, guys. Oh, we are finished. There's only one left. This is the last one. Did we get through 60? I guess we did. What time is it? 8:58. We're okay. Okay. So let's switch. Let's switch to surgery mode. Going to take me a minute to set up here. Hang on a sec. It's 60, I'm sure. I didn't count them, but I'm sure Yamamoto-san has counted them. I will count them later this afternoon, because I got to tell Cameron how many copies we need to pay Yamamoto-san for. What do I need here? Okay, I need a base piece of wood. I need a print for surgery. Oh, this one's got a couple. There's another one right there. Good. I suspect we're going to lose this one, so this might be a... Okay, let's do this. No, the chili won't rot. It's just unsightly, and we get rejected. We get claims. People will send a claim. Dave, I ordered the Great Wave. I waited for years, and you sent me one, and it's full of this stuff. We get claims. Okay, listen, let me get set up here for the focus and everything else. Hang on a sec. Okay. I was talking about embossing, all the foam, the waves, because it's heavily printed by hand, everything comes out embossed, If I were blind, when I'm blind, I'll be able to feel these. You can feel the foam. Can't you have your printers checked for them? They do. I know the chili check happens a number of times. Remember, I've taken the paper out of our storeroom. There it is. Oh my God, we can't use that one. Aside it goes. When I then cut it for this one, I cut it and size it, and when I send it to Yamamoto-san, before printing, he checks each and every sheet. Again, he holds up to the light and he sees, remember, we've got an image here that's got a bunch of stuff at the bottom, darker areas, like this, and a bunch of open spaces. So if he sees a sheet that has heavy chili, he'll flip it round, upside down, whatever, and he'll put it in the orientation where, wherever possible, most of the chili gets hidden in the darker areas. Absolutely. But he can't get it all. And like I said, if I called every sheet that had chili, I'm going to send him 0 sheets of paper. We are fighting something that is just crashing downhill bit by bit by bit by bit by bit. Let's have a look at this. I can't catch all the conversation, I'm sorry. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, the white dots. Why are they higher? Because the white dots here are original paper untouched. The surrounding area, the black gradation, is 2 gradations here. One is a gray gradation coming up to about here, and on top of that is a black gradation coming up to here. And the white spots are carved out of that block, so they are original paper. And the barren pressure hits the black stuff and it leaves the other stuff, so they end up, we're not trying to emboss the foam, it's just as a matter of course, it ends up being embossed. So what you're seeing is natural, thick paper, and the part that's printed has become thin. You can see it at the edge of the clouds too. Look, that cloud part is natural paper, didn't get touched. This part has been printed with the background color, so it has a semi-embossed effect. But we're not, hey, great wave with embossed clouds. That's not what we're, that's just a natural artifact of this. Okay, I need a knife. I need some paste. Let's have a look at this. Okay, let's flip this over, look at the back. This particular one may actually be, this one may be easy. This one is probably not going to be so easy. Let's have a look. Surgery. Oh, wait. I don't need that yet. Okay, here we go. Can you see? What we're going to do, it's inside the washi, so I'm going to very lightly cut 3 sides of it, flip it open. See the washi? And take out the chili. But, put a tiny dab of glue on it. Glue meaning the same paste that we use when we are printing. This is the same paste that Yamamoto-san used when he made the print itself. Close this down, but there is now a hole in the paper. I'm flipping it over. Can we see it from the front? I don't know. We are right here. It's not visible under the light we have now, but somebody gets this, takes it home, puts it in a frame with a mat on the back, and then all of a sudden, I'm not sure if I can see this. Let me get a piece of white paper. Let's get the board we just used. When it is placed against a piece of white paper, that's what we're going to get. And I think we're probably okay because it just looks basically like another one of these wave drops. So I think on that one we're okay, but we will find out when I come across to do my final checking because it may stick out because it's empty. And if it does stick out, I'll bring it back here, come back here, I will open it up again and I will put inside that hole a tiny little bit of fluffed up washi. We just cut some washi from somewhere else, put it into there and paste it down. Well, this one also, this is just on the outside. There it is. That can come off just like that. That's okay. Sure, no problem, no problem. Okay, that's not a very good example for showing. So let's try and find one now. In fact, the very first one, right? The very first sheet we had those two dots. Let's go and look at that. Here we go. We've got two pieces of bark, and these are not on the back, these are on the front. Let's see how to do this. Same thing again. They're under. They're not sitting on top. They're actually inside. But if I don't take these out, somebody is going to complain. A few years ago, one of the trips up to see the paper maker, I took a bunch of sheets like this up to him, and whatever, there's just nothing they can say. They know this is not acceptable, but they themselves are hugely struggling, hugely struggling. There's no good yelling at him. Basically now the paper maker, instead of a family up there, it's young Jun-san who is now doing it pretty much all by himself. He's overwhelmed with volume. The stuff that comes to him from upstream, the paper fiber, is much poorer quality than it used to be. And there's just no point in me yelling at him. He's doing what he can, and just all the way downstream. Okay, that one's out of there. That one's nice. Should I see if I can find a few more that might be doable while you watch? Let's see. And I'm on the verge now of putting a note on the web page that says, to all customers of our great wave print, and I don't know what to say. I can't. What am I going to say? It's no good, but please excuse me. I can't say that. What am I going to say? How far down do we go to get these? There's an example I got in my mailbox. It's maybe even somebody in the stream. They're still waiting for an answer. He got his great wave after waiting, and he'd seen me talk about the chitty. He'd seen me do this, and his email to me, Cameron first, and then passed on to me, said, Dave, I realize there's a problem with chitty on the paper, but I think perhaps you must have missed this one. It came through without you pulling it out. So can you either please replace it or let me know what I should do? And we wrote back and said, well, whatever, send me some images and let's see what's happening. What have I done? Did I miss it, or what happened? And he sent me a series of images, one at sort of just a front photograph of the print, and then he showed a bunch of close-ups. And the front photograph of the print, I could not find actually anything wrong with it. But then his close-ups showed the story. He had got under his own microscope, and he had found dots here, dots there, dots here, chitty there, beyond the point that I had said, okay, I can handle that. I had actually taken out a bunch of chitty on the print and then said, okay, that's as far as I'm going. And he found dots with his microscope. Okay, this one's different now. This is interesting. This is not chitty. This is not a papermaker's problem. This one is a dot of pigment. It's a dot of pigment. And it's blue. So there's no way I can open the flap and take it out and close the flap. If it goes all the way through to the back, I'm hosed. But it looks like it doesn't. This is the printer, Yamamoto-san. A little drop of blue escaped onto his sky block. And if I can get under it, if do believe we got away with that one. Whoa! I don't think anybody can see anything here. There's a tiny little... Are we up to 60 yet? Is this from the stream? Really? I mean, how many people are watching today? 10,000 people? What's our stream count today? What's actually happening here now? Yeah, aerospace paint inspection. Interesting. So what's the definition? You know, when they sell a Toyota car, they've polished. Can you find a scratch? What's the definition? Why am I getting lower quality paper? The paper makers are struggling. It's a family business. They don't have a huge number of staff. It's basically now down to one guy, Jun-san. His father, Iwano-san, tries to help, but I saw it when I was there in February. I saw just nothing. Nothing. Okay, here's one. This is a good one. Let's look at this. This is a good one. Okay. Front of the paper, this zone. Can you see anything there? In the paper, somewhere around here, is a big black blob. And if I put something white underneath it myself, it clearly shows up from where I am looking down at the paper. So when somebody mats and frames this print, that will be a big black shadow in the middle of that wave. Looking at it from the back, you can see it, right? You can see it there from your side. Right in the middle. Now, let's have a go at this. Because it seems to be closer to the back than the front, let's try our classic technique. Open a flap, remove it, close the flap. Let's give this a try. We're going to slice in, if I can, about halfway into the thickness of the paper. Pull back a flap of washi. There's more. Pull back some more washi. Can you see it? I'm not sure what you're seeing. There it is. We've opened a flap. Cameron is here. Cameron-san, good morning. Have a look at your mail. Yamamoto-san, he sent 60 copies of the wave, so you can send at least 50 emails. Go, go, go. Don't watch the stream. Cameron, Monday morning, he has got all the weekend's orders and stuff to do. So. And this is actually bark. I can see it. I understand what the shape is. I know what chili is. I've been up there pulling chili. There it is. Out she comes. And this is the same paste that Yamamoto-san used to do the printing. So there's no damage here from some strange glue that is being mixed in with our print here. This is the same paste that we use when we print. Close the flap. And we're done. Nurse, take it to the ICU, recuperation room. Let's have a look from the front. Now actually, I can see at the moment, I can still see something here, because what we've got now, we have a blob of wet washi. The place where we put the paste in is wet and shows. But after 10 minutes has gone by, when this is dry, we will see nothing here. See, you can see it there, look at that. You're seeing the wetness shining through from the back. The black blob is gone, but you're seeing water there. So I don't know, as I said, do we put a message on the website? Please give us a break. The prints are not as good as they should be. I really, really, really do not want to do that. I don't know what else I can do, though. It just sounds like I'm putting the blame off onto somebody else. This is a big fat one. Look at this. huge chunk of bark. This one's not so black. This is the white bark. The plants have black bark on the outside, then white bark on the inside, then the mulberry. The other thing is time, you know, my God, the time we spend on this. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. That's Dave's job now for the next couple of days, I guess. I was going to be busy doing other things, but for me now, I have a couple of days' work to do on this. Show and tell. I know. Give me a break. Give me a minute here. One thing at a time, please. Dave, is the Great Wave available on the website? There's a page where you can add your name to the waiting list for the Great Wave, as we have heard a number of times during this stream. We are back-ordered. Okay, let's put this away. Okay, show and tell. You don't need the www thing, John. That was a problem with the woodblock.com website, because that's not HTTPS. The Mokohankan website, I believe, should work for everybody both ways, all the way over. It's not too much of a problem with the octopus, because the octopus print actually has very, very few wide open spaces. Her body is open, and when we printed it, myself and Yamamoto-san, we switched the paper around wherever possible. The Great Wave is specifically a problem because it's got such a huge, huge amount of open space up at the top of it. So the octopus is not so bad. Sorry, John. Okay, I'll keep quiet. I'm only seeing part of this. Sorry. Okay, today's show and tell. If Jacques from the Netherlands is here, he knows what this is, because he's also got one of these. It's a book published in what did we say? Meiji 31, Meiji 32. John had the number for me. I've forgotten already what it is. And the book it's a fashion. It's a series of fashion plates. In fact, we've already had this kind of a book before on this stream, and they're usually in sets of 12. Remember, they're books that are intended to show upper class people and how they're living and all that kind of stuff. And the upper class people would have bought them. No, not 1919. This is 18 something. This is Meiji 31. This is 1897. So this is an album of 12 prints showing the course of 1 year, the activities of an upper class person or upper class family. And it would have been bought by those people to validate their own existence, or people who wanted to see how the rest of the world lived. And these prints were sold as single sheets, or they were sold mounted into album format. And this is Zen, the whole set. And it's the shape of beautiful women today. And this is the title page. And everything you're about to see is woodblock printed. There are decorative metallics, there are embossments. Let's get to it. It's the 12 months of the year. And they're numbered, as in months. This is number 1. And whether I should stay zoomed out or zoom in, I'm going to be going back and forth. Let's have a look at it overall. It's a tiny bit worm-eaten. The copy I got eaten by worms, but I don't worry about that because it cost me like 3,000 yen. I got this on a super bargain. And it shows what a house is like, upper class women. And there's some really, really funny things about this. This is 1890, whatever it is. Very expensive. Japanese house, clearly. It's got a tokonoma. It's the New Year's time. The decorations are there for New Year's. She's putting something in, an offering to the local shrine. And she has a carpet. Of course, there's no carpets in traditional Japan, but this is the end of Meiji, when all the Western influence is coming in. And how do you show you're a hip, really expensive, oh my God, look at this. We have one of those special imported from France, handmade, whatever, whatever, whatever. But it's a real interesting blend. Put carpet on top of your tatami. Let's zoom in. The carving is astonishing. Just nothing else to say. It's astonishing. You may not think the face makes her look like a beautiful woman. You may not think she looks beautiful in sense of nose and eyes and the little mouth and stuff, but this was the drawing style of the day. So sort of put that out of your mind and just look at the thing as an object here. And the tints and tones are delicate beyond belief, beyond belief. That's not a flat background, it's a gradation. The palette is just whatever, whatever, whatever. And all of it, there's embossing everywhere. Just again, embossing not specifically to be embossed, just as an artifact of the printing process. And it's 100 and what years old. And of course, because it's an album and it's been shot up face to face, the colors are fairly well preserved. I thought Jock would say something. I guess he's not here today. He's already gone to bed. But when he sees the replay of this, he'll think, oh my God, I want to talk about this, because he's got a copy as well. What to talk about? A million things to talk about. Just to come into this tree for a minute, this is not classical ukiyo-e carving at all. Look what they've done. The carving is scratch carving. It's kasure. They've tried to make it look like brush strokes. It doesn't look like a brush painting, but they've given it the feeling of actually having been drawn with a brush. The people themselves are more in line with a straight ukiyo-e tradition. So this is a blend of different styles coming together now. And the pigments and tones and gradations just one after the other after the other. Could I recreate this? No, I tried to make one. I did. I made a reproduction of one kuchie, which is a similar print to this. And it took me months and months and months, and nobody else here has the skill to print it. Again, lots of touches of the modern here. This is the end of the Meiji era, and we have a guy in Japanese haori with his mon and a Western silk hat. It's a society in huge transition. Huge, huge transition. I don't know how much is coming with the light. There's Nuno Meizuri. She has her hairdress actually is patterned with an embossed pattern to give it the actual feeling of being printed. And what we're seeing, there's no parody here. This is a scene of the society at that time, at that day. This is some kind of festival event. There's lanterns here. It's maybe there's a park involved, and maybe there's a summer festival. Well, no, it's March, so it's part of a spring festival. And there's nothing parodied about this at all. This would be what you would have seen at that time. Absolutely at that time. We move ahead to April. And the lady and her child are feeding some koi and I'm curious about this. Is she dropping in an actual egg, raw egg with a shell and stuff? Or this is an egg that's been sort of hard-boiled and then peeled, being dropped in there? What can koi do? Can koi break through the shell? Is she teasing him, or is this food? I have no idea about this. No idea at all. Look at this. Look at this. This is one of my treasures, actually, this book. And it's even more of a treasure because I got it for a steal. I paid just like $30 or $40 for it. It hadn't been well described on the auction page. Nobody knew what was going on. It was probably an off time. So Karen's saying, I don't think they could get through the shell. So my guess is these eggs have been like boiled up and she's already peeled them and is now dropping in the whole egg. But I don't know. I don't know. And the gradations on this vermilion, just. So what's that? That's 4. Turn the page. It's come apart. Part of the book has started to come apart. And when I get halfway through, I'll show you what's happening here. This is number 5. We're nearly almost at the end. I said it was a one-year album, so you can see where we're going with this. I'm not hearing that anymore. I am just not hearing that anymore at all. Okay, let's zoom in, because this one has a real special effect on this. This one has a real special effect. Let's do something with the light too. Okay, if you can see it, her kimono appears to be a single flat tone, but there are 2 embossing blocks crisscrossing each other. Can you see it? There are embossing blocks crisscrossing each other to give a pattern to the kimono. She's been cutting flowers. She's been out in the iris garden. She has trimmed some flowers. There's her scissors to go home. The open part of her scissors is done with metallic powder. Can I get the right angle? Her scissors actually shine if you catch the angle just right. And there's also a metallic powder on her obi. The gradations, the gradations, the gradations. I don't know if I mentioned, the artist is Toshikata. This is made in the era when the kuchie were very, very popular. Toshikata was mainly a kuchie artist, but he also did a number of these albums for a couple of publishers. Akiyama Buemon and, I can't remember the other one. There was 2 famous publishers who did books like this. And Jacques, who comes in here on these streams regularly, he has a huge, vast collection of these, way, way, way outdoing me. I can't afford this stuff usually, but Jacques gets them. Gradations, gradations, gradations. She's got her little stepping stones. There's a gradation on the corner of each one. Just give me a break. The greens and the greens and the greens. Look at this. I don't know if we can catch this. There's her, you can see inside her home, there's a curtain. This is another Western touch. There's a lace curtain here, which has the lace pattern. I hope we can get this. Can you see it? There's an embossed pattern. There's an embossed pattern on the lace up there in the front corner. We'll get this into our collection one day. We'll get some real photographs so you can inspect these things. No, you're confused. Somebody's saying the YouTube review of this book is what hooked me on Dave's channel. I have never shown this book on YouTube. It may be something similar you looked at. I did a YouTube Dave's Choice about one print, and it was a print of this kind of style. I did the whole Dave's Choice just about one print, showing the hair, the gradations, this and that. It's a similar style to this, but it's not the same book here, I'm sorry. This hasn't appeared yet on our YouTube channel. Okay, I said it's a set of 12. This is number 6. We get to the end of the book. We're done, except it's accordion style. You open from the back, and we now start all over again, and this is number 7. And you know how it's going to go. We're going to go right back to the front of the book, working our way backwards. This is number 7. It's July. She's getting ready for the Obon festival. The object in her hand is a flattened lantern. Like the lantern I have here, this actually can be flattened as well. The one she's holding is flattened. She's about to get it ready and hang it up somewhere on her veranda. And again, her kimono is patterned. I don't know if we can see it. I'm zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out. No, we can't see it. It's a white embossment on a white kimono. It's not going to show here, sorry. And all of them have super delicate hair carving. They've all got shomenzuri gloss rubbing on the hair. And everywhere, 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 there are gradations that we just didn't need, but that whatever they went ahead for. She's not wearing anything. She's at home. She's inside her home on her tatami mats. So bare feet are completely acceptable at this point, of course. She would never, ever go outside in bare feet. But she is indoors at the moment. She may step onto her engawa in bare feet, but somewhere along the engawa will be some sandals. She will step down into the garden. Where are we? 7. Let's go one more. 8. This is August. And this is the old calendar, eh? This is now autumn. This is August. This is the autumn moon. What we would think of as October, this is now getting on. And again, her kimono also is completely, completely patterned with embossing. think we can catch it somewhere. And they've done the embossing, different directions. You can see it. There we are. It's all embossed with light patterns. In this case, this way, this way, all in different directions. Any one of these prints would be, to me, a national treasure. And to have an album like this is just to me beyond belief, you know. The other thing about this, you know, the reason I have this out handy now to think about show and tell is Yamamoto-san, the boy who printed the Great Waves. He came over the other day. And I said, was it last night or 2 nights ago? I don't even know what day it is. And we were chatting about this and chatting about that. And he was saying, oh my God, I'm no good. I'll never be any good. And what's going to go on and whatever. And this was on the shelf. So I dug this out and pulled it out to show him. And he'd never seen anything like this before. He's only familiar with 20th century work and stuff like that. So I pulled it out to show him, and he and I sat there for an hour looking at this. And at one point, he said to me, you know, my God, like these guys are glorious geniuses, the printers and carvers. And no, they weren't. And I fought back at him, and he agreed with me. The men who made this, the carvers who carved this, and the printers who printed it, and Toshikata who designed it, they were nothing special. What I'm getting at is, of course, they had stunning skill. I'm not denigrating them, but they were nothing special. They were guys who just went to work each day, did some carving, went home. Went to work the next day, did some printing, went home. They were not thinking of themselves as being, we are making glorious treasures for the world to enjoy. They were just, it's today's job, make my prints, I got to clock off and go home. They didn't know, they didn't care, they didn't think about that. They were just, they were just workmen. Of course, among all the printers who were working in Edo at that time, they were really junk job guys doing food wrappers, bang it out, bang it out, bang it out, bang it out. And there were guys doing more careful jobs. So the pay scale was different, and they knew they were sort of at the skilled end of the craftsman's range. But they were just guys who went to work and went home, went to work and went home. And from their point of view, the products they were making were going to be consumed and tossed aside. The idea that the things they were making would have been one day treasured in museums, or the internet would look at it and say, glorious, they would just have laughed and laughed and laughed. They were just casual workmen. And this is our philosophy at Mokanka. We're trying to do the same thing. We're not trying to make our prints spend $10,000. I tell you, why didn't we put the price up on the Great Wave? Supply and demand. Put up to $1,000. No. That's not our job. Our job is to make a bunch of prints, put them in the market, sell them. If more people want them, well, get in line. Not sure what's happening here, actually. It's October now, and there's been some kind of event. These are fishermen bringing in the catch. Why these women would be there, I really don't know the background of this. There's some kimono hung up here. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. These are women who are part of the crew here doing the fishing. If so, it doesn't match with the rest of the album, which is how rich folks live in their super expensive houses. So I'm not quite sure what's happening here. Maybe these high-class women, or this high-class woman has gone down to see something happening here. I don't know, I'm sorry. And yes, ultramarine, Western pigments here. This is not a traditional Japanese pigment at all. This is what the Japanese now call gunjo, but it's ultramarine in the Western one. And yeah, tea party on the beach, festival, I don't know, I'm sorry. I just don't know. Would blind people have been able to, I don't know really, I'm sorry, I don't know. In the places where most of it is printed, you can't specifically feel anything. You know, you can feel a bumpiness here, I can feel a line here. I don't think, well, again, I can't speak for a blind person, but I really don't think you get much out of this. There is embossing, but it's not enough to show you the whole thing, of course. This is November, and November is the time for the Shichigo-san festival. And absolutely, this is a mother, and she has taken her 3-year-old kid, or maybe 5-year-old kid, to the shrine, and they are now looking at the pigeons. And this is fun. Look at this, look at this. You said the coloring is vibrant. On this side, we have vivid, rich, vibrant, stunning mix of colors. And yet on the other side of the print now, we've gone soft. And over here, we have gone soft. It's all about the drawing and the softness. Somebody under here is feeding pigeons. No, that was ultramaroon. That wasn't Prussian blue. That was gunjo. It's a completely different color tone. This is a joke. I mean, some robot has hit the website and it's just every minute the robot is blanging in, blanging in, blanging in. It happens sometimes over there, so I don't know. Okay, and the last one, the 12th one, end of the year, of course, the lady in her garden, in her home, looking out over her snowy garden. And when I saw this, the first thing my eye went straight to this. It was, come on, give me a break. She is in her very, very cold house. Remember, there's no insulation. It's wide open to the outside. This is the central heating on the home. It's a hibachi which has some coals inside, and there's a faint remnant of heat that comes out. And she has been reading, and her book has text. They have carved text in her book. I can't read it. It's old-fashioned text. It's also upside down for me. But give me a break. They have gone to the trouble of carving text. And look at the dots. They've also carved her just. Well, look at that. Look at the embossing. They've done an itabokashi on the color here to give it the realistic wood grain effect on that hibachi. It just does not stop. Somebody says it's madness. It is madness. And the guys that made this just, yeah, whatever. Do some carving, do some printing, go home, get paid. Come back, do some more tomorrow, go home, get paid. And they left a legacy that will never, 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 never be touched again. You know, machines now, machines. We think we're getting pretty good at our work here at Mokuhankan, but then we get one of these out and look at it, and I remember, we will never, no matter what we do now, we will never, never, never get here. I'm not ashamed of that. You know, these men were born, they started work when they were 12, 13 years old. Because they did it so many years, they just got super good at it. Today we have men and women doing different jobs, getting super good at different stuff, designing iPhones or whatever. So it's okay, it's okay. The frustration for me is that I want to do this. The other thing too is, remember, the carvers were just carvers. They didn't print or anything. The printers just did printing. And we do it all. Oh, there's a shomenzuri on her black kimono. Can we find the spot? There's a shomenzuri pattern. I can't find the reflective spot. There's a spot there where it would reflect, and you'll see the pattern on her kimono. I can't find. There it is. You can see it somewhere in there. Can you see it? I've almost got it. There's a pattern on her kimono that's just visible at a certain angle of light. Whatever. Anyway, enough. At some point, we'll have these on the collection. There's already lots, by the way. Next week, there's a whole bunch more going up onto the collection. Bingo. There it is. We got it. There's a hidden pattern on her kimono, which just didn't show. Okay, I'm done. I'm way over time. Sorry about this, but whatever. You get a book like this, we got to have a look at it. Today is Monday. I'm off now for 3 days. We'll be back on Thursday. It's possible I will be out in Ome. And if I do, we are going to try an experiment. I'm taking with me my iPad, and a bunch of people recommended this to me. A whole bunch of people recommended. There's a thing called the Twitch app, which allows you to stream in real life. Not the game you're playing, but you can stream from the Twitch app on the iPad. And I will try this next time I'm in Ome. I'll put my Wi-Fi router in my pocket, and I will walk around with the iPad, and it may be a time for you finally to get a walk-around stream introducing you to the studio out in Ome. We'll try it. No guarantees, no promises. I said I'll show you where the book's falling apart, simply because, look, the back side hasn't been glued together. The glue has come off the back side. There's no time now to go into the construction of the book, but you saw the point. It opens from both ways, and on one side, the glue has started to come apart. Anyway, enough. I'm out of here. Thank you very much. I'll see you on Thursday. No skinny dipping on stream. No, I won't be doing that. Don't worry. We don't need that kind of trouble on this stream. Thanks very much. See you all next time. Oh, of course, signing off time. We need to remind everybody. See you soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.